Shalom, shalom Israel. First and foremost, we'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakah Kodash. Give honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to you, brothers in the highways and byways, preaching and teaching His word in sincerity and in truth. This is your brother Shapal from the JMS Jamaica camp with a quick lesson. Now, this lesson is based upon for this article, that I saw. It's from the Christian Post. And this is dated Monday, March the 21st of 2025. All right, the 31st of March. All right, now the title of this article, it says Labour Council seek to imprison street preachers up to 2 years, right, for causing offense, distress, right? Now this is the UK basically, and there was an article like this came out years ago, which was, I believe, it was in America, and gradually when we see this, we know that the famine of the word, where the scripture speak of, is near, and even though we speak about Christians, we know mainly that, look, Christianity is of the statement, and state and Christianity, religion, mainly Christianity, basically, it goes hand in hand. You understand? So we know that the threat is not Christianity, right? It's men that now rose up to the power and spirit of Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, and out there speaking, you know what I mean? The prophecies, breaking down his words, and we can't say mainly men that are of GMS men, but he's speaking about Hebrew Israelites that are now pushing this word to the four corners of the earth, man. And now it's evident that, everybody now knows about the Hebrew Israelites, man. And the things that the things that we're saying, man, it cuts to the core. And these are things that Christians don't speak on because they don't really have a knowledge of the Bible. So we know that it's not geared off for Christians, man, but us as men of the Lord, right? And, the scripture said that them all come down having great wrath. Now, this is just one of the main things what them are use for now, But just to say this before we get into some scriptures, that in the future, right, where society is heading right now, you have the new world order, this utopia or dystopia that these men are creating, this digital way of life. There is no place for religion, man, right? Now we have Noah, Noel, I can't pronounce that brother name, but it's Noel, Orare, something to that effect. Says that, they're not into the God above the cloud, man, but the God, in the cloud, like the Google cloud and so on and so forth, Saying so that's the AI, them referring to that's going to be their God, So all of the information that will pass through that AI system is going to be, that's what they're going to use for judge certain things. Now you can go to ChatGPT and ask it for do basically anything, and you can create certain things out of thin air, based off of the program that's being programmed into it, So they're planning to replace God, with AI. And these are some of the steps now which they're going to implement ultimately to reach to that, to where they want to get it. Now, let me get a scripture basically. This is Amos 8 and verse 11. Say, behold, the day come, say the Lord, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst of water, but of hearing the words of the Lord. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the west. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord, and shall not find it. Right? So there come a time when this truth is no longer accessible, because now in the Internet of Things, or the Internet of Bodies, with these men are put, there's certain things you can't speak against. There's not gonna be no retaliation, man. Ultimately, what these man is after is ultimate control. You know. So this new internet 2.0 where them are gonna put up because them are gonna need to connect everything. You can't. They're not gonna have men like us. Broadcasting this truth. You know, through the four corners of the earth via the internet. I remember they have, I think it's J. Rockefeller, basically, said that the internet was the worst thing created, man. They regretted creating the internet, and because now we are the ones that are using it to push this word, But we out there in the highways and the byways, man, are more threat to these men because these men know that once they see the prophets them in the highways and the byways preaching, that's their ass, man. That's their kingdom. You know. This is Revelation 11 and 11. It says, and after 3 days and a half, right, the spirit of life from God, from the Most High Yahweh, shall enter into them, and they shall stand upon their feet, right? And great fear fell upon them that saw them. So after 250 years, coming back to the knowledge and understanding of who we are, seeing, because from the time of slavery, man, until now, we have been in a dumb and dark state of mind, drinking the wine of the so-called white man, meaning his philosophies, the whole Jesus juice. We have drink of it, but now it reached a point where we start to get back, our true understanding, seeing. So when we speak the things that we speak, it cuts through, man, and it reached the elites, the banking elites of the society. They are the ones who know that the things that we speak to the common Jake and heathens, it's gibberish, it's madness, but they know that what we say is true, man, and they know that once them see Israel rising up, that's the end of their kingdom. And somehow them think them can upset the prophecies, or deter the prophecies. The scripture say what if Israel, if the ordinance cease to exist, just rough paraphrase it, then Israel are gonna cease to exist. But guess what? No, the promise is still for Israel, and Israel are gonna be always, the promised seed, See, so somehow in this utopia now, right? We said this to say, Esau think if him can get rid of Jake, or if him can put a stop to this message, then him kingdom will go prolong, or then somehow him can still obtain the blessings, which is ultimate rulership, right? Which is what, he's going for now, putting all of these things in place, right? So that's the whole game, man. Now, let me just read some of the article, basically, it says Labour Council seek to imprison speech teachers up to 2 years for causing offence distress. Say Christians to be criminalized for handing out Bibles, praying, or laying hands on people. Right? It says a Labour Party run council in England has sparked outrage by proposing a sweeping injunction that could imprison Christian street preachers for up to 2 years over claims of causing offence or distress. It's a Rushmore Borough Council covering Farnborough and Aldershot has faced accusations, right, of attempting to criminalize Christians for preaching, praying, and distributing Bible in public places, in public space, right? He said the council initially applied for the injunction in February, citing complaints about noise, public disturbance, and distress caused by street preachers under the proposed term. Christians would be banned for praying, for individuals without prior consent and denote religious leaflets or Bibles by hand and laying hands on people in prayer, even with permission according to the Telegraph. So these men are basically trying to get rid of righteousness, because with righteousness, there is an uprising to the wickedness, there's a pushback to the wickedness that they're doing, you know, right? Wicked, and the funny thing, the hypocrisy in this man is that these men have no problem doing wickedness, you know. At the Paris Olympics, and there's certain other events where the Bible is being mocked. There's no problem pushing satanic cults or, but when you come on to speak in the Bible, this is where them have a problem. You can't see the type of people who run this society, man, by that. It says the injunction also sought to prohibit approaching individuals to discuss religion and preaching messages that could be perceived as hostile towards protected characteristics such as age or gender or sexual orientation. Violation of the injunction could result in fines, arrest, and maximum prison sentence of 2 years. And this is another thing that we know, that this is speaking about us as men and the Lord, man, because we are the ones who speak against homosexuality. Men shouldn't put on a woman garment. Men shouldn't lie with men. As well as women's place in the scripture, in society, comparing to a man's place. And all of those things, man. And we are the ones that is more and a more, I want to say a more aggressive, lack of a better term, a more aggressive type of preaching. We don't have the bullshit type of, soothsaying type of preaching. We say what it is, in a manly form. And a lot of people get offended a lot of times, But that's how it is, man. Them try to kill Yahushua for doing that. A matter of fact, John the Baptist was beheaded, ultimately for fulfilled prophecies. But the things what I was saying, man, that's one of the things that got him killed. So these men, we know that he's speaking about us, and prison time, man, for actually preaching the word of the Lord, man. Come on, it's madness. And you have a lot in the article also, but let me just get another scripture. This is Acts 5 and verse. Yeah, all of it is good. All right, so you can start here. You can just jump to the point. And the name basically Yahweh Shai, man. That's the difference with us and the other preachers out there. Man. We know the name of the Lord, and we know that basically Christianity or the whole Jesus thing, that goes nowhere. That has no power. This is what I'm really after, because we're coming under the name Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, and waking up Israel. Right. So this is Acts 5. I'm just determined where to start, basically, because as I say, all of it is good. I just want the main points. All right. All right. So just to give you a rundown on the story right here on the account, Peter and the apostles are basically teaching in the name of Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai. You're going to see Jesus, but we all know that's not the name. And, they were basically persecuted. As a matter of fact, they wanted to kill them, but they went away being persecuted. As a matter of fact, there was a time when men, the prophets, the apostles actually got locked up, and the angel basically freed them, for preaching the name Yahweh or Yahweh Shai. You know what I mean? Let's pause. All right, so this is the account in Acts 5, and we can start at verse 15. And as I said, again, the chapter is a very good chapter, especially with this thing that's going on now. You know, with this account and the article that I read a while ago, it the scripture said the things that are written aforetime was written for our learning, man. And there's no new thing under the sun. Same how they persecute the prophets of old, that's the same thing that they're gonna do to us, man. You know, scripture in Matthew, it says, so they persecute the prophets that were before us, you know. In as much that's how they're gonna do to us, man. So this is Acts 5 and verse 50. It says, in so much that they brought forth sick. So the apostles were preaching, and then them get basically the wicked scribes and Pharisees, man, because they were preaching Yahushai, you know, and they all the people were gathering to Peter and the apostles, you know, and fear of their losing their congregation, you know what I mean, and basically didn't want the doctrine of Yahushua to basically grow and spread, you know, among other things, man. You know what I mean, they wanted to get rid of these men, which are the apostles, so they drew counsel, they wanted to kill them threw them in prison, you know what I mean, all of that. And it's the same thing. He said, I don't want this guy to overtake, you know what I mean, the whole society. So these are the same thing over again, right? Yeah, and let's just get into the account. Matter of fact, it says, and it's so much that they brought forth the sick into the streets and lay them on beds and couches, that at that least the shadow of Peter passing might overshadow them, some of them. It says, there came also a multitude out of the city round about unto Jerusalem, bringing sick folks, right, to them which was vexed with unclean spirit, that were healed, and it's like and they were healed, everyone, right. He said, then the high priest rose up, and all they that were with him, which is the sect of the Sadducees, right, and they were filled with indignation, and they lay hands on the apostles and put them in the common prison. But the angels of the Lord, right, by night opened the prison door and brought them forth and said, go, stand and speak in the temple to the people all the words, right, of this life, right? So the angels of the Lord were with the men them, and as a message that, you know, as a message basically that we ought to take heed towards, man, because even though we're out there and the men, as scripture said, they came down on us, man, having great wrath, you know. These men are gonna come with great wrath, man. So we have to have faith in the Spirit of the Lord, man, that just like how he delivered Peter and the other apostles, man, we're gonna get delivered just the same, you know. Right? Right. So we'll just get to the point, right? It says, verse 25, when you jump up verse 25, it says, so after the angel freed them, it says, and tell them to go and preach in the temple. Yeah, this is what happened. It says, then came one and told them, saying, behold, the men whom we put in prison are standing in the temple and teaching. And then went the captain with the officers and brought them without violence. And they feared the people, lest they should be stoned, right? Because they were doing a lot of works, man, healing and all of that, So, these Sadducees didn't want to get stoned by the people. So it says, and when they had brought them, they sat them before the council. And the high priest asked them, saying, did not we straitly command that you should not teach in this name? And behold, they have filled Jerusalem with their doctrines and intend to bring this man blood upon us. Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey God rather than man. Right? So it's more to be obedient to Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. Preaching until the Lord basically decides to look, I'm just going to take the prophets out, at these streets, which is a time to become, as scripture speak about, a time for, they were sent for many fishers, right? And there's a time when the Bible sent for hunters. So now we're in the fishing season, and very soon, fishing season is going to be changed. That's just what, come let us make it what fishers of men. So now we're fishing for the elect. That's the reason why we're out there preaching and teaching. As soon as the elect is sealed, and the Lord are going to change the job description to hunting season. See? And the scripture says we're going to hunt. All of these men, when the Lord bestow those spiritual powers, man, and take them out of them caves and whatever they are, man. Once this nuclear missiles hit and these men going at them bunkers, the elect is going to come down out of those chariots, hunt these men, right? Take them out of them caves and such, slap chains on them. You know what I mean? And even before that, spiritual power is going to be this short, man. And, but, yeah, and see, this is the thing now, man. The teaching of the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai is very important for now, because there come a time when we can't go out there on the highways and the byways. Man. So we have to be out there and we have to put up these videos on the internet. Right? See, so rather to obedient to Yahweh Shem Shai than men. So, you can read. Well, let's jump down to another point. So the point that I want to get is verse 40. Right? He says, unto him they agreed, and when they had called the apostles and beaten them, they command them that they should not speak in the name of Yahweh by Yahweh Shai, and let them go. And they departed from the presence of the council, rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer shame for his name. He said, and daily in the temple and in every house they cease not to teach or preach Yahweh Shai. Right? So let's arm ourselves in the same mindset until the Lord decides to look, it's going to get us out of here, man. So scripture say, give him no rest till he make Jerusalem a praise in the earth. So when I give this truth no rest, man. So that wants to call Allah Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Hashem Rakah Kodash, the honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Stone. Shalom to you brothers in the highways and the byways, preaching, teaching his word in sincerity and in truth. Shalom.